Sauk State Street in Chicago, Illinois. And that will be on November 21st from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And remember the families that these ones that lost their lives, but at the same time, if you would, please keep in prayers our police department. It's a major loss within our police department within less than 2 weeks. We lost a police officer and us in the dispatcher. So, for that little record for most dispatchers. So, we would remember the families in prayer, but most important, remember our officers during the time of their loss also. All right, we move to item 2, discussion to request, and I have to make one change in this. This is for Class 8. Class 8, the proposal is through Michelle Fettman, who's in the audience, before.
Respectfully request a resolution rather than the city of Class 8 on the daycare on Missouri. It was left in very condition over a year ago, and I have some pictures of it. And years ago, it was a state-of-the-art daycare center run by Jim. She went through a bitter divorce and had me. It was taken over by someone that ran it well for a while until her son took over. He was a recent graduate and didn't really know the business and abused it. Taxes were very high. And then I'll swallow. And we want to reopen that. I reached Gina McNeil, the previous owner. She's feeling better and wants to come back. We've checked it out with the DCFS, and they've approved it with her. So it's ready to go. We intend to remodel the outside, do the parking lot, get it going like it once was. I mean, I was very proud of it at one time. I still own it. been a disaster during that year, but I'm looking forward to it coming back. And you need a tax consideration because the real estate taxes in this county are kind of high, as everyone knows. And they were trying to get $100,000 a year about for that building taxes. Hard to have. So if I can get that letter, I've already cleared it with the assessor's office. They're willing to cooperate if the city recommends.
Any questions?
George, you go back in your, everything around the daycare center, that over here.
I know, it has, well, you know me. Absolutely, I look like we do it. Drain it into the ditch because it holds water now.
Yeah, I think our public works on that last time. And then there's what you have. You have 4 lights on there, maybe fixed it.
All new,
Everything that has to do with that property will be.
first class. Like it had to, like it once was.
Any other questions? Trustee Burke?
Yes, Mr. President, who owns the old hometown Gabriel building right there?
Just recently, it was in foreclosure, just recently. And it's a funny story. Amr Patel was the owner of that property, and he rented it to the 2 fellows that run it, Tom and Eamon. And they called me about a year ago, and they wanted my advice because they used to be my tenant years ago. And I said, what advice do you need? They said, well, we're paying the rent, and we're getting the building foreclosed upon. So they want to know what to do. I told them, you better stop paying the rent.
Having trouble hearing again.
I told them that you better stop paying the rent and put the money in escrow and call the bank that's trying to foreclose because they were paying the rent, but the owner of the property wasn't paying the mortgage. So I got involved because I know them personally, and I was able to get the bank to consider a short sale, and I helped them buy the building back, and they're back in business. So Tommy owns the building, and I'm a partner in the building.
No, he's talking about the old building over by Popeyes.
Oh, I don't know. The county owns it.
That's what I was talking about.
I
The
see.
building, that's why I said the old hometown Gabriel.
Oh, the first one, the
Yes,
third.
yes.
I don't know who owns it.
That's not nothing, is that on your land?
No. It once was, I think it once was. But it's not, I sold that years ago.
Did you sell it to the same people that bought the adjacent building from where you're talking about? The adjacent building with the post office and the old library and everything like that?
Yes.
Okay, so you sold that to the same people?
I think I did. There was a question about that piece. It was one time left out of the package. It was owned by a Greek person that owned the bank. I forgot his name. But we took care of it, and we maintained it. But I never knew if we really owned it or not. There was a question. There's 2 lots there. One that's right to the street, and then this one separately. But it was never properly deeded. And when I sold the property to the people that had the drugstore and the library, if that was in the package, it was included in that, but it wasn't clear. I know that's confusing.
It is, because I'm just trying to find out,
But,
the
but,
building, is that, you know.
but I made an inquiry about that building several months ago, and I was in the county building, and it belongs, the taxes were never paid, and it belongs to the county now.
Because I mean, I know you've seen it. And you're gonna have, I know you've seen that, and you're gonna have a daycare that would be kind of, you know, you wouldn't want that eyesore there, kids around, somebody can, you know, we cleaned it up, the village cleaned up, you know, well, had it cleaned up around that area, but that building,
Terrible.
if there's a way we can just level it.
There's a
I
way.
don't know who owns it.
Well, I tell you, if the city would like, I can get the paperwork for the city to get possession of it, and then I'll buy it from the city and put it in the bank.
We've already started communication with Cook County to get purchase, or not really purchase it, but to get that property, but under a demolition, so the county will demolish it first. So we've already started talks. The reason it got cleaned up around there is because we brought Cook County in, and Cook County SWAT came in and did all the cleaning all around there. So the first step was getting it cleaned. Now they're going through all the proper paperwork, so the village acquiring that land through the demolition.
So therefore, you already know that, so you start paperwork for the village to acquire it, or tear it down, or have the county tear it down.
That Cook County carry on. The village wants it only if it's going to be torn down. So that has to be part of the demolition for the village to acquire.
I didn't know, I'm sorry, I didn't know that hadn't went that far, so I was asking you, because I know the last person I know had anything to do with that building was yourself. And I didn't know that the village had planned on doing anything as far as demolishing it or acquiring it or anything like that. That's why I was asking, because I didn't think you wanted to have that right there, daycare or anything.
No, but like I say, if you like the building and to work it out, I would take it and rehab that.
Building is very disrepair. I don't know if you've seen inside.
Okay. Well, it's a long story. The person that I sold it to wound up going to jail. And he got out of jail just recently, and the bank took that over, a different bank took it over, and I was approached if I would like to buy it back. But they're taking one step at a time. I think I can bring back the whole area.
If you do the partnership thing, you can take that, does the same thing lawsuit, like you're gonna do with the daycare. You will go up there and make sure that entire building, the government building has been set. Not gonna need to.
If I were to take it over, absolutely. Absolutely. If I were to take it. I'm negotiating with them now, but like I say, it would happen.
That will cover under 6 feet.
We're going to class it. That's what we requested.
6 feet for commercial.
Yep.
There's actually 3 things that I just want to get clarification.
Can you guys use the microphones, please?
Yeah, here.
Could you please pass trustee Moore the microphone? Somebody else.
That's right. All right, there's 3 properties, and I just want to get clarification, the class 8. Now, right now, the class 8 is just going to be for the daycare, it's not for that whole plot in there? Okay, it's just for that. Well, what I want to know is how far out that daycare goes, you know, since, I mean, there's lights throughout that whole plaza, but which one is actually his, what's going to actually be repaired, the other one is that with the post offices, just for clarification, is that in foreclosure as well? Is that property in foreclosure? There's some questions about that. And the one you were talking about turning over to the county is the old hometown Euros to have that demolished. Okay, so there's 3 different things that's kind of getting all put into one. I just want to make sure that the residents understand that the class 8 is only for that small section. Correct. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, everyone has a resolution for this? Everyone should have a resolution for this. so I would ask that this be on the agenda for next Tuesday night. Do you have any concerns about being on the consent agenda, or do you want it to be on the new business? On the new business, all right? So we'll put it on the agenda for next Tuesday night for on our new business.
Might dismiss.
Here's, like going to principal's office, isn't it? All right, thank you very much. All right, item number 3, ordinance to establish enterprise zone, subject to Enterprise Zone Act, the state of Illinois, including intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Beecher, City of Chicago Heights, Village of Creek, Village of Fort Heights, the Village of Glenwood, Village of Olympia Trails, the Village of Sauk Village, and the Village of South Chicago Heights, the Village of Stager, and the counties of Cook and Will. Everyone should have the agreement for you. This goes back to we've been working with South Suburban mayors and managers, the enterprise zones. I know some of the trustees attended the meeting the other day that we had here that we hosted. The enterprise zone, just so everyone knows, at the end of, let me get my years mixed up. It's either at the end of this year or the end of next year, I can't remember which, but all enterprise zones throughout the state of Illinois are going to be abolished. And what they're doing is they're looking at enterprise zones, they're looking for communities to join. Right now, currently, there's over 90 enterprise zones within the state of Illinois. And what they're going to do is the first year, there's only going to be 45, and then after that, the second year, they're looking at bringing on additional 40 to 45, depending on what they have before them. We have formed an enterprise zone. The name of that is the 394-30 enterprise zone. These are the communities that are involved, which we mentioned inside this ordinance. And what it does is enterprise zone consists of up to 15 acres, and that's the areas that are covered under, 15 miles. And that's 15 miles, those are the areas that are covered under those enterprise zones. And what we've done is put together an intergovernmental agreement, and kind of give you a little bit of an idea. Right now, currently, Sauk Village and Fort Heights, we have an enterprise zone. Chicago Heights has their own enterprise zone. Some of these other communities have their own enterprise zone. Because the number of enterprise zones are going to shrink, we've put together communities and formed the intergovernmental agreement so that our package was more inviting to the state when they decide to pick who's going to be the 45 areas. Enterprise zones are important to bringing growth and expanding within our communities. And when you try to bring business, as we all know, Cook County taxes are high. Enterprise zones, there is certain incentives that helps businesses when it comes to building materials. There's a reduction in taxes in those areas. And there's an entire list, and some of the trustees were at the meeting talking about some of those areas and what does that do that makes your community more encouraging and more appealing to move to your community. As we all know, especially Sauk Village, we're on the southern tip of Cook County, and to the east of us we have Indiana, and to the west of us, to the south of us we have Will County. So we find ourselves in a very difficult situation when it comes to bringing more business to our community, especially when you can go a few miles this way. You can be in Indiana. Indiana has an aggressive team out there, if you'll call them a team, to draw businesses. You don't have to go very far. You see, are you annoyed? You can see signs coming down the expressway. You see signs as you're leaving Dyer saying you're only so far and you're entering into a tax zone. So they spend a lot of money, Indiana does, to try to draw businesses out of Illinois. And they spend a lot of money trying to make Illinois look bad. So they're trying to make Illinois look bad in this enterprise zone. So it's pretty thick tactic. We wanted to have this, and we have it for us tonight because everything is timing. Kind of give everyone else an idea. We had every one of these communities, plus the South Suburban mayors and managers has a group that's helping us put this together. All these communities had their attorneys mayors and managers had their attorneys look at this. So think about all these attorneys picking this apart. And we've got something now before us that all the attorneys have agreed to. You've got municipalities. All these municipalities, they have trustees, they have mayors, they have their own staff. So there's a lot of work that has been put into this. Again, to help growth and bring businesses to our communities. We'll open up to the floor. Any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I was at the meeting and it was very informative, but I did ask a question, and I'm sure right now you may know, how much would our contribution be? In other words, you told us it would be, as far as how much land we're talking about. So how much would our administrative cost or our price would be? He couldn't tell me then, I thought maybe by then that you would kind of know what it is.
I gave that to the board when we first went out for this, how much it was going to be. And I want to say it's so much per mile that we'll have. And I can pull that information up for you again, but there was one part of that paperwork that I gave the board probably about 2 months ago when we started to get involved in this and talk about what our fee was going to be. It was like $1,000, $1,500 or something. Don't quote me on that. I'll give you the exact amount. Because the village board approved for them to go forward with this. So we knew then how much it was.
If you say we approved to go forward with it, then where do we go on it? Because, okay, here it is right here. The zone administrator should follow a copy of enterprise zone fee schedule with the Department of Commerce and Economic Development by April 1st of each year. The zone administrator may charge up to 0.5% of the cost of building materials of the project associated with the enterprise zone, rather than maximum fee of $2,000 per minute. That's for one thing I'm talking about. This is for when they actually come to build. I'm looking at the administrative cost that we pay every year, and I think it's based on how much we actually have in the enterprise zone. And
It was by miles.
right, and I think we're out like 5 miles, something like that. Okay, well, I didn't know the price. Do you know the price, trustee?
No, I just remember hearing them talking about like $1,000, $2,000. That was a few months ago.
Okay, I didn't see. That's what I was
Oh,
asking.
no, everybody had that.
Okay, you're saying that. I'm saying I didn't see that. No, I didn't. That's what I was asking. I had asked that at the meeting that was here. When they had the meeting here, and how much would it be? He said, you told me then it was broken down per parcel, per municipality. And he couldn't give me an exact, I thought since then, David, the guy that was running the meeting.
Yeah, in fact, it was, we can pull that information, and we made Bush Park have also. When that packet was put together a few months ago, it had broke down by community how much of acreage that they were asking to put into the enterprise zone, and how much they were going to have to pay for the registration. So
now, when would that be due? Is that due after this is taking place, or is it due before we start, or is it due now? That was my question. Is it due as soon as we sign this agreement, or this is just an ordinance? We've already voted on the agreement to belong to the enterprise zone. So this is just an ordinance stating that, so that's just one.
This is an intergovernmental agreement that every community, that shows, if you look, every community that the president signs, to show that we're all on board.
Right.
So this would be part of the packet that they provide along with the maps, the locations, the pins, all that information showing where the enterprise zones are.
Right. I saw that. I'm just wondering when the money would be due for that particular, administrative cost. That's what it was called. Administrative cost. I was just wondering when that administrative cost.
But again, remember, the administration cost, what you just got done reading, is when a new business comes in. So that they're looking at municipalities to add or change their ordinances so that when they get their building fees or when they get their licenses and stuff like that, they have administration fees included in their license, so it's not no money out of the village. And because they're getting such a tax break on all their materials, on their building materials and other areas, it's still a very small portion to be added.
Right, I understand that it's gonna be added into there. I'm talking about as far as right now, what do we as a village have to pay to the, so, to the administration? The administration, of the administrator, I'm sorry, of this, enterprise zone, I'm sure we pay so much, and that's not, has nothing to do with businesses coming in. This is the administrative cost that he assessed each and every one of the municipalities. And that's the price I was asking about. Not about when we get a business when they come in, I understand that.
I can find out.
Okay, that's all.
Our current enterprise on, non-ASO, when,
Either 2014 or either 2015, let's see what's here. No, so it's gonna be in 2015, I think they're all being abolished. Right. And that's why everything, there's such a timeline on everything, so they can start getting. Correct, they're eliminating all current, enterprise zones. Trustee Morton. I think one by Jeff.
The other question was the funding, whatever the funding actually costs is going to be,
Has that been budgeted? Where would that money actually come from? You know, if it's, you know, it's $1, if it's $5, it's $5,000, where's the actual money can actually come from? Has that been budgeted like?
No, it don't.
Again, because of the enterprise zones, I'm going to assume it's a question for the attorneys, and we allow someone from the tips, because the majority of our enterprise zones are on tips. So we'll find out where it's coming from and where it's coming from.
We can do a drawdown on it too.
Correct. And even as a percentage, you figure every one of our tips, there's 3 tips though, every one of them are inside the enterprise zone. So if we took a percentage of the property in the other areas that are not tips, the amount would be very, very low for the areas that are outside the tips. Any other questions? All right, that's this we place on the agenda for next week. We know that's on consent, or are we asking for new business? So, consent? All right, so that's on consent, and I'll get that clarification for you. All right, next one is an ordinance amending Division 2 impoundment of Article number 11, impoundment of vehicles for ordinance violations off Chapter 74, traffic of vehicles in the Village Code. As everyone knows, state statute, there's been changes when it comes to home rule, non-home rule, down in Springfield. There's also been changes on fee structures. So what we've done here is working with our attorneys, cleaned up the language that has to be cleaned up. As you go through the ordinance, you're going to see there's a lot of spelling out, telling you exactly what state statute we're going with, where it falls for the ordinance. So again, we want to make sure that we were following state statute, and again, it's just a lot of language cleanup and making sure that we're within our.
There's a couple things. One of the things is that we all know that Illinois has a medical cannabis law and everything. Well, that definitely had to be changed in our whole ordinance. The old one says you have it in the vehicle, you're going to get total charge. Now, with the new law, you have a prescription on you, said it's medical. And, the other one is the real good one is also in our old one. It says that if you have a firearm ammunition in your automobile, and they read have it, you're charged with felony total and the whole work. Well, as we know that the concealed weapons law is out there, and you have a license to carry a concealed weapon, you can have it in your farm. Things like that. And then the other thing the attorneys did, we asked to make sure that you put in the Illinois compliance statute that it follows, and give us a short description of it, which they did. And there's there's a few of them that going by the old original toll ordinance, which was way back in 2011. We had to make an update and bring it into compliance with Illinois compliance statute, and this one here does that. It brings it back into compliance with Illinois statute.
Anyone have any questions? Trustee Burgess?
Yes, yes. I'm looking at both of them. I'm gathering the one that says current ordinance is the old one, and the one that's not marked at all, which it does spell out. This is the proposal. Right.
The one that says currently is in place right
We had an amendment, trustee, back in 14, first part of the year, we got an amendment with 14-001. Came in and it changed, it was a chapter 74, and that's the one that we might have got a copy of. And I know I asked for a copy out there, everybody. And then the new revised one is the one you should have got in your package. The village clerk passed it out. And then the old one, if you want to have no problem with the old one, is I can use your copy of the old one if you look at it. And that goes back to 2011. And you will definitely see that we release the page that it be in compliance.
Okay, but my question now, because this does for the money, basically, the fees. Are we going to, will this, everything in here, will it go into the toll ordinance fund, or what about the drug seizure? Because some of this is drug seizure.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask tonight. I approached you earlier, and we both would like to ask that question. Mr. Mayor, under the original ordinance, it says that any money that is collected when a officer, especially an K-9 officer, pulls down a automobile and it has illegal drugs in it, that money would go back into the K-9 for the K-9 fund line item. Is there a way that we can have that also, if the K-9 officer is involved in it, all that fund money, that money that he's involved in, go into the, that was originally, if I remember correctly, the board wanted that money to go back. That would take care of the dog and animals and everything, for food and so forth.
It's currently supposed to be done that way, but you run into an issue where the police department has to inform what money goes for tolling, what money goes for drug seizure. So, because they're the ones that know. I mean, usually what happens is you see money coming in for a toll, you're automatically going to put it in 2020. So, talking to the chief, they're supposed to be putting together a report. I don't know if he's going to do it weekly, if he's going to do it monthly, that he can present to Mr. Mohan, and they'll have to move the funds, because right now all money is going to tolling, is going to the tolling fund. He has to provide a report saying, here's all the times that the drug seizures and dog was used, so that those monies can be transferred into the drug seizure fund. We've had this talk, and for that money to be moved, it goes solely back on the police department to provide the information for it to be moved.
Then everything here, Mr. Mayor, everything here, as far as this ordinance, all money collected from this ordinance would actually go to the toll fund, correct?
It goes to the toll fund until the police department provides a list of what should have went to drug seizures, and then the money would get transferred from the towing fund into the drug seizure fund. Any other questions?
You said the police, the chief going to give you a nod.
Not me. He actually gave it to Mohan.
You give them a lot. You have a problem with trustee Virgin or myself, all of them?
No, I don't know. All right. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll put this on the consent agenda. All right. Move to the consent agenda. Go to the next discussion of current water rates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I stated before at the meeting, that our ordinance did state that the last, you told me to actually look at that, and it does state that the last $2 that we raised the money would be for the air strippers and to pay off that loan.
Can you show us where that's at?
Okay. I don't know which one you have. I think everyone has a copy. But it's the first page, 5th paragraph, whereas the village water system requires treatment to remove vinyl chloride contamination, and therefore the village finds that it's necessary to raise water rates to $7.50 per thousand, effective 6 months from today's date, February 14, 2013, in order to cover necessary costs for the maintenance, operation, and treatment of the village water system.
Correct. So where does it say anything about loan?
It's like the middle of the page.
First page.
Around the back.
It's like at the beginning.
Yeah, I was kind of confused because nowhere here does it say it's for the loan.
Okay,
We currently still have air strippers to remove vinyl chloride, and there still is necessary cost for maintenance and operation and treatment of the village water system.
Yes, we're still gonna have a balance, I think, of about 100 and some thousand. I'm pretty sure that's what it'll be. But as you remember, Mr. Mayor, and the board that was there at the time when Bud Mason came, I took a few excerpts from his meeting that we had with him as a board, and he did run down the cost, and he himself said that we would have to raise the rates to $7.50. But I do have a couple of recommendations, but I don't know. Well, I'll just read what I saw. The village board raised the rates an additional $2 to $7 per thousand to cover the installation of air strippers of wells 1, 2, and 3. Robinson Engineering completed the leak detector survey, and grants have been applied for to cover the cost of replacing the fire hydrant. This is the recommendation of Bud Mason, and it's what we told the people it was for this purpose. Now, I'm pretty sure the board at that time, and you remember at that time that he did come and tell us that when we got to $5.50, that was just to cover day-to-day costs to break even. That if we had to go $2 more, it would go towards, at that time, we have it, the air strippers would go for that. Now that we have some money to pay most of that off, I was just wondering, what is the plan of this board to go forth with the other $2 that we're raising? I do have a few recommendations that we can, look at, since, I was, told that I'm just bringing things out. I do have recommendations. So, but I was just wondering, since we're about to pay this loan off with most of the money, we're going to have a small balance.
We won't have a balance.
Okay, we won't have a balance. We'll pay it off. What do we use the $2 for, other than? We
know currently that at the $5.50 we're breaking even.
Yes.
The additional $2, which brings out $7.50, will help the village to be able to continue replacing fire hydrants, continue to work on water mains, continue to replace V boxes throughout the village, continue to work on current infrastructure, and not to mention the cost it's going to take to maintain and operate the air strippers. Now, currently we have 2 temporary air strippers, but remember, with well number 3 going back up, we are now going to have 3 permanent air strippers. Along with the air strippers, there is a little bit more work that has to be done. There is cleaning, there's preventative maintenance, there's work that has to be done on those air strippers. So the funds that at the $7.50 allows the village, at $5.50 it keeps us just maintaining and not going anywhere, not getting anything done. By being able to leave it at the $7.50, And with the help of the governor's office for the grant, which we've already applied for, once that money pays off that loan, it still allows us to be able to get the work done we need to. We already know also that when it comes to fire hydrants, when it comes to lights, replacing lights, we're doing that on overtime, as we requested. So we have additional costs that we're getting additional work done, especially on Saturdays. And really, I wish Kevin could have been here, he's not here tonight, to know the work that the public works has done already. It's amazing. You look at, previous years we've had anywhere up to 30 or 40 water main breaks per year. This last year we're right around 10 or 11. You want to make sure you keep your fingers crossed, instead of where to go. But because of the work that the public works is doing in the water department, going out and fixing our infrastructure, the leak detection survey that we had Robinson Engineering do, and that was about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. We've been able to go out and start addressing issues that we had when we had things. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and it's going to take funds. And again, the goal is, and we all know that the village passed a referendum to go with Michigan Water. That referendum was twofold. Remember, the first part, shall the village of Sauk pursue Lake Michigan Water? The first part of the referendum. The village of Sauk still pursues Lake Michigan Water. We are currently working with our state reps. We still work with the governor's office. We have a new governor. So as soon as the new governor gets in office, we are approaching his office. We're putting together a whole entire packet. So when the new governor is sworn in, we're going to be right there, right in front of his face. We are continuously in talks. Just about 5 weeks ago, I was in talks with the mayor over Shaw Heights, David Gonzalez, about Lake Michigan Water. So we stay in talks with our with the ones who supply Lake Michigan Water to find out what's going to cost Sauk Village. So Shaw Village or Sauk Village pursue Lake Michigan Water. We are still trying to pursue Lake Michigan Water. We're trying to find out what we can do. We know that the leaks in the ground have got to be fixed. Okay, because right now we're not eligible for Lake Michigan Water because of the amount of leaks that we currently have. The second part said that it shall not exceed a certain amount. If you remember, it was right around just under $11. It was $10 and some odd cents. So first, shall the village of Sauk Village pursue Lake Michigan Water. Second, shall the village of Sauk Village get Lake Michigan Water at a cost rate, and that was right around $11. So, there's certain things that we have to be able to do. We have to be able to keep that amount under $11, and that's why we're still in talks with Chicago Heights. That's why we're still reaching out. We're looking at Linwood. However, Lansing has not given us a cost because Lansing is between us and Linwood. So every once in a while, I think probably about 2 or 3 times a year, we reach out to Lansing and say, hey, are you interested in providing Lake Michigan Water to Sauk Village yet? Will you give us a cost? We already know the cost from P.L.A.N, what it's going to cost. So there is things in the works. But what's most important to be able to get Lake Michigan Water is to make sure we fix our current infrastructure. So the funds that we have extra, if you don't call it extra, because we're not at $5.50, so that we're staying stagnant. This additional $2 on there that brings us up to $7.50 allows us to get the work done that's needed and allows us to continue to make the repairs that we need. And it gives us the funds available to keep the people out there working and getting things done. Now, you talk about the grants and stuff we applied for. The grants we applied for provides us the parts and the equipment, or not the equipment, but the parts that are needed. So like the $25,000 for the fire hydrants, that pays for the fire hydrants. We know that when it comes to other things, when it comes to infrastructure repairs, that helps pay for the infrastructure. It's not really paying for the cost of the work. So that's where we're at when it comes to that.
Okay, me for one, I understand what you just said. I understand the words that came out. I still don't see any forward motion to fix the infrastructure. We're fixing what is happening right now. In other words, we're not updating our infrastructure. We're fixing breaks. If it breaks on Peterson Avenue, if it breaks on Jeffrey, we fix those. But in order to update and upgrade, we have to go out and you know this, we have to go out and buy land, we have to go out and negotiate, we have to go out and see, to go from point A to point B. If we're going to keep this money, and we're going to do this, I would love to see it in a separate fund. We can call it Lake Michigan Water Fund. Rather than, because we've already raised rates to pay for it, that's what the $5 was for. The other $2 seems which we do have in excess. I would like to see that go into a fund that we don't touch, almost like what we have other earmark funds for. So when we need $1 million to go out here and do this, we have it. We don't have to go out and take another loan. We don't have to do that. Because I'm looking at, if we're going to keep the $2, I need that money to be earmarked separately for just those things you just got to, I'm talking about, when we're ready and able to negotiate with Chicago Heights, Linwood, wherever else we decide to get the waterfront. Because the first thing they're going to ask for is what kind of money do we have as a backup, in just in case, because they ran into problems, like right now, Chicago Heights is running into problem with Fort Heights. Fort Heights owes Chicago Heights $6 million. They can't cut them off. So I'm sure they're going to ask us to have a fund that's going to be earmarked and set aside. That's what I would, if we're going to do that, Mayor, that was one of the things I would like to see. If we put that money aside for that use only, for the infrastructure to go and move forward to Lake Michigan, not to fix day-to-day breaks. That's what we raised the $5 for. But I do have it broke down how much money we could save. But if that's the case, I won't even go into this, but because I would look at if we went and just reduced it to $6.50 per thousand. We would lose revenue for the whole year of $207,000, but we would still have over $500,000, $300,000 that we've taken out each and every year, transfer it over, and we still have another $200,000 left. But if we're going to do this at the rate that it is, and we're going to collect about $650,000 a year, I would like to see that money put aside, not used for other things that may come other than water, but put aside just for that reason, for the Lake Michigan, so we've asked these people, and you were there when we did this, we asked the people, when we told them that was part of the referendum. If the referendum was passed, then that's why they would agree to raise the rate, so they would have any problem, the resident wouldn't have any problem paying $7.50 per thousand, because it's going towards Lake Michigan water. Right now, what we've been doing the last 2 years is using it for water main breaks, for airstripping and things like that, which now we got relief from the government, from the governor's office, to pay that. And I think the money that we have from this point on should go into a separate fund, not put into the same fund that we can draw out of for the day-to-day leaks or things like that. I would like to see something like that done. If we're going to do that, because I don't want this money to get away from us. I don't want us to get into the general fund or whatever. I want that money to be there and put aside to show that this is what we're doing. We have money that we're going to. Once we get enough, then we can go out and do some infrastructure. We get a couple $1 million, we can do a lot of things with that $2 million rather than $250,000, $300,000. We not get a lot done with $300,000. We can get more done with $2 or $3 million. You don't have to borrow the money. That's the reason why I brought this up, and that was the reason why I had asked for this to be put on, because I would like to see that money earmarked in a separate fund that would be for the Michigan water.
I think, going back to what Mason said, we raised the rate to $7.50. At the time when we did that, like you said, we were breaking even with what we were charging before. $7.50 is what the raise was. He suggested we go to 11. So going to 11 would be a good idea if you're talking about making a surplus. Because right now, if we're breaking even, from what I the meeting was a while ago, from what I understand, between the amount of water we were losing and the amount of the cost it took to provide water, employees, everything like that, the $5 amount was just breaking even. Going to $7.50, that's been allowing us to get a little bit of a surplus. But think about how old our infrastructure is. we've had a lot of water main breaks, major water main breaks, which is not uncommon for us because of how old our infrastructure is. The increase is what's helping us repair those right now. I don't know how we can reduce that amount or hold anything to the side, because even with the amount of water main breaks we've had, chances, there's a very high probability we will continue to have water main breaks. That's what's helping it. This extra is helping us. If we were to reduce this, I'm not sure where we get the money for the water main breaks to repair them, number one. Number two, if the plan is to continue to hold up for the infrastructure, for the repairs, then I think what we need to be discussing is a way to titrate up the water rates over the next 5 years or whatever, to make sure that we are able to get to that $11, which is what was suggested by the government. That if we went up to the $11, we would be able to, and I don't remember the time frame that he presented, but if we went up to the $11, either titration or right away, how soon we would be able to collect the amount of money that would be needed for the infrastructure replacement. Because like I said last week, I believe, it's not just as easy as just getting Lake Michigan water. You've still got areas that would be so severely affected if we did not do a complete overhaul. You've got to worry about boosters, you've got to worry about the infrastructure that's old that hasn't been falling apart yet, but that still have cracks and twigs and everything else. We've all kind of heard this before. So in my opinion, there's no point in going out and getting highly expensive Lake Michigan water, because we all know that everybody's raising their rates for Lake Michigan water. There's no point in getting this water as it's going through the same old pipes at any given time. We have a water main break. Right now, that's our water. That's our water that's being air treated, everything from the streets. When we get Lake Michigan water and a water main breaks, which is going to happen because we have old infrastructure, Hammond or Chicago Heights or whoever else is running a meter. They're not going to stop and say, oh, we understand we had a water main break. So I think that's kind of, all of these things need to be kind of looked at. I mean, it's nice to say lower the water rates. I'm down, let's lower water rates. I'm totally okay with that. However, I don't want to come back to this table if we lower the water rates and say, oh no, we didn't take into consideration about the water main breaks. Or, oh no, we didn't take into consideration that if we remove, even if we drop down to 650, we remove that amount and we're putting it off to a whole separate fund that we're not going to be able to touch for anything. What happens? We're going to be back to the shoulda, coulda, woulda. And as a board, and I know that not everybody was sitting at this table on the board at the time, when it was presented to us by Bud, he said, you're here, you need to move up here to get over even. But if you really want to be where you need to be, you need to get here at 11. We started with this. So I think that, I don't know if it's possible to kind of have a representation or maybe something else, but I think it's important that everybody be on the same page to kind of go forward. I think we're talking about apples and oranges here. You can't say that you want to have progress with Lake Michigan water and then say you want to cut the water rates, because that's just not going to happen.
How about a plan?
I just want to clarify something. I said after looking at this, I said that I would not have a problem with not cutting. At first I was looking at it, but I wouldn't have a problem if we took the money, the extra $2, and put it aside for that reason. Yes, we're going to have water main breaks. Yes, we're going to have this. But the mandate, the people of the village, I mean, whoever, however you decided or whoever feels whatever way, it was mandated by the village, mandated by the people that voted. They wanted Lake Michigan water. In that presentation, and when it was brought to them, they agreed to pay whatever it would take or would cost to bring Lake Michigan water in. All I'm asking, and I did rescind my recommendation, all I'm asking is that the money that we collect, the extra $2 we collect, we put it aside, and then once we get our X amount, we start fixing the infrastructure to move forward with installing or getting Lake Michigan water. Trustee Williams, you're absolutely right, because that's one of our arguments. you're gonna take the same pipes and run Lake Michigan water through it. But there's a way to take care of that too. I mean, there's a way that that can be taken care of in the interim. We're not even to that point yet. I'm just saying that we don't have this money and use it for something else other than what it's supposed to be used for. If it's for to fix the infrastructure, let's fix the infrastructure. Water main breaks are gonna happen if we have water at $10 a thousand. They're gonna still have water main breaks and we still have to fix them. I'm just asking, since the money has been paid, and that was part of what I thought, and the way I read it, it looked as if the $4.8 million loan was for the airstrippers, and that's what it went to pay off. Now we don't have that. Now the money that we were going to use, the $2 for it to pay that note, now we don't have to pay that. Let's set that aside and not use it. Just set it aside and start using it for what it was for. Water infrastructure, the acquire land for Lake Michigan water. We have to get our leakage down, absolutely. I understand that. I'm just asking, this is all I'm asking. Not to take the money and give it back, but put it aside. To show our residents that we are trying to move in the direction that they mandated at the polling place when they voted to say they wanted Lake Michigan water. They knew it was going to cost this much. Now, since that election, a lot of people probably aren't here that voted for that. Sorry to say that, but it may be a different consensus now. Now, if you take a consensus, you probably get, who knows what you'll get. But in the meantime, it's just like anything else. You put that in there, you have to deal with that until such time that, we have to bring it up again if you want to bring it up in another referendum. But right now, I would just like to see the money, instead of going into just the water fund, I would just like to see it earmarked for something separate, like we do other things that we earmark money for. That's all I'm asking.
All right, move to item number 6, cost savings initiative.
What was the consensus?
I understand, Mayor. It was a discussion. I'm asking what the consensus, since we're right here, we're all here, the board members here. We heard Trustee Williams say it. What about the rest of the board members? Do they feel that we should put it aside, or should we keep it in the general budget? I mean, that's something we can.
First of all, the board needs to realize that we have to fix our infrastructure. If we take the $2 away and we put it into a special fund, we're back to being stagnant. We're right where we're barely making it to 550. The additional $2 that we're receiving, which took it up to 750, it states it very clearly in the ordinance. It's for the air strippers, it's for the operation, it's for the maintenance. We still have that. That's what that additional $2 is for. So without being able to have that $2, you're saying we're not going to maintain our air strippers, we're not going to operate them, and anything additional goes back into infrastructure. You still have to be able to repair your water main breaks. You still have to be able to repair your fire hydrants. You still have to go out there and make repairs to the water system. So by saying we're going to take that money and just put it off to the side and we're not going to do anything with it, you're saying let's go back and being stagnant and we'll stop repairing fire hydrants. We'll stop repairing water main breaks because at the 550, we made it very clear that when Bud came and did the presentation, at 550, it means we are right, barely making enough money to be able to run everything it is. So, again, by using that $2 to fix infrastructure is still getting fixed. It's still getting repaired. And we are updating our system, which we have to do. So,
No, Mr. Mayor, you're saying that that's wrong. The 550 enabled us to pay for, for the water main, enabled us to, now as far as the fire hydrants, we never paid for the fire hydrants, we got to do that anyway. We were supposed to be
and we
getting,
haven't had money to do it.
we're supposed to, yes we did, we were supposed to be getting a grant. We thought we had a grant at one time, but we didn't get it. But what I'm saying, all I'm saying is, I'm asking the rest of the board, if they don't, all I'm doing is asking the board what they would like to do with the $2. That was the reason I put this on the agenda, to bring the information out that we do know. And I'm not trying to stop infrastructure or stop fixing the water main breaks. If we didn't charge the $2, we still have to fix the water rate breaks. If we charge $10, we still have to fix the water rate breaks. I'm looking to have money put into, set aside so we can move forward if that's what we want to do with Lake Michigan Water. That's all that is. It's not to be, don't tell someone that we're gonna, if we don't have the $2 that we won't be able to fix the water main breaks or we won't be able to fix the fire hydrants. That's not true. We will still be able to fix the fire hydrants and the water main breaks. And as far as the air strippers, that's electricity. I mean, I'm sure the electricity bill is not that high because we paid for the air strippers. They're paid for now, and where they sit in the pads and also iron removal system and things like that. That's what pays for. That's what was paid for out of that loan. But don't say that all that money is going to take to run those air strippers. The air strippers run on electricity. I mean, it's an electric bill. And they clean it out once a month. That's not a whole lot of money. I'm just asking that it's just a simple. I'm just asking that we put the money aside.
You said it's not a whole lot of money.
It's not $2. It's not $2 a thousand gallons.
With our temporary air strippers, it's $12,000 per stripper. They have to come out and clean it.
We
That was
have-
with our temporary air strippers.
Temporary air strip, we paid $12,000 because that's what they charged us, Mr. Mayor, for the lease of that. To clean out those air strippers is not $12,000.
I think you need to go back and check.
Okay, well, I did that before and I came back. We're not gonna go back and forth with that. I just asked a simple question, Mr. Mayor. I didn't ask, I'm not trying to debate. I asked the consensus of the board, that's all I asked. Would they like to see the money put aside? That's all.
I would like for our finance director to give us some figures. One, I'd like to see the rough overtime cost on our public work up to the present time. And that'll give us a base figure that we can work with. Two, I'd like to see if we remove the $2, let's say remove. If we went ahead and started paying everything out of the $5.50, what that would leave us, and Kitty. And three, what type of savings would that give us? We've been talking, nobody threw any triggers out yet. I don't have them. I don't know if Trustee Burgess has them. We need to look close at some figures before we start negotiating.
And I agree, and I think we should make sure that, read the ordinance, because the ordinance makes it very clear. The first rates was the village water rates are not sufficient enough to cover the expenses of the village current water system. Therefore, it finds it necessary to raise the rates to $5.50 per thousand. You go to the next whereas. It says the village water system requires treatment to remove vinyl chloride contamination, and therefore the village finds it necessary to raise the water rates to $7.50 per thousand, and which is the effective date. And it says in order to cover necessary costs for the maintenance, operation, and treatment of the village water system. So, again, and there's other things too, just to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do something like this. Remember, we are still working with the Attorney General and the IEPA. So, we want to go back and say, now we're going to take the $2 that's supposed to be used for the water treatment plants, and then we're going to put it aside. I think, we may have some questions and answers. It could potentially put us back in litigation, so they may come back and take us back to court. So,
Why would they take us back to court for our money? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Before the village board even considers,
all we're doing, Mayor, is earmarking money. We're
taking money that's already earmarked, trustee. It's already earmarked.
But you paid that loan off.
It says the treatment of the removal of vinyl chloride
Right.
contaminants. That's what
Correct.
that money's supposed to be
Yes.
for. And for the maintenance, operation, and treatment of the village water system. That's what those funds are supposed to be.
That's what the loan was for, Mayor.
No. No, the loan was to install the permanent air strippers and air removal system. This is for the maintenance, operation, and treatment of the village water system.
That's general language, David, come on. Parse the words in an ordinance, please.
All I did, Mayor, and Ed, as far as your question, right now, the public works is operating at about 47%. their budget. In other words, they're at 47% of their budget. This is 6 months in. So they're at the overtime and everything. I looked at their numbers. They're at right now, but now don't forget we haven't gone into winter yet. We haven't gone into the snow removal and things like that. Yeah, we're at 47% right now. Their budget is at 47%. There's some other budgets that are over, like the police department, but that budget there is pretty much right where it is. It's going to increase like it does every year. Depends on what kind of winter we get.
47% at the $7.50 per $1,000. I want the board to remember that at the current rate.
Mr. Mayor,
So
I'm
at 47% at $7.50, talking about taking $2 away, where would they currently
I'm
be?
not, Mr. Mayor, please don't keep saying I'm taking it away. I'm not going to take it and put it anywhere. I'm not taking it and moving out of the village with it. The money will be set aside for such time when we start moving forward with doing what we have to do as far as moving towards Lake Michigan water. We have to acquire that. If that money stays where it's at, we're going to use it.
But if it's in a separate space, if you're working for one thing, then you are removing it. If all of it is here, and you want to take part of it and move it here, you are removing it, which means if it's here, it cannot be used for what this money would be used for.
If you
Which is
use
what
it,
the concern is.
no, the concern, okay, my concern is when it comes time, we don't have the money to take care of what we have to take care of to get Lake Michigan water. All I'm asking, because if we're using that money now for other things, other than that, I'm asking, since we didn't, and you keep saying we didn't pay off, the loan wasn't for air strippers, yes it was. That's what we got the loan for, 4.8 million. That's what I understood it to be, that we got that loan, that money for the air strippers. Now since we paid that loan off, and we save X amount, let's save X amount. Let's put it to the side.
I don't think that we can even have this conversation without a 6-month look. If we just got the grant money, can we look at it?
I have a
If
6-month look.
No, you can't have a 6-month look yet, because you don't know. If we just got the grant money,
Telling him what he knows now.
2 weeks from now, if we just got the grant money, and we just paid the grant off, we need to look 6 months what the difference is. If in 6 months, we find that there's this miraculous surplus, and this $2 really doesn't, we're not using it, and we've got all this abundance, then yes, we come back to the table. But as of right now, we're utilizing every cent of that money.
Yes, we
So
are.
I don't understand how, so to me, the price of the air stripper isn't even really a factor, because it's still, until we get that money we paid off, it's not gone. We still have that cost. So until that cost is removed, I think we need to look at the budget 6 months after that and see how we're working within the money. Your facts and figures, as valid as they may be, how do they work after the loan has been paid off? Then we come back and we look, because honestly, you're saying you're not removing it, but you're still not keeping it where the rest of the money is. So I don't know how everything that we've done, all the problems we have with the water meter rates, and everything else with overtime and everything else, how one would think it would be feasible to remove that money. But I don't know. That's why I'm saying I don't think we can. We're at the point to discuss that.
Let's go back real quick. Let's go back real quick and look at the loan, okay? The loan we got from the IEPA, the village hasn't paid one dime for that loan yet. That loan allowed the village to go out and order the permanent air strippers and removal systems. The village, once the work started, had approximately 1 year to finish the work. I think we've extended a little bit because of some of the changes that the IEP has asked for. So the loan payment or the payment for that loan does not start until after all the work is completed. So, we're not looking, again, we've got the grant coming from the governor's office to pay off that loan so that the village and its residents are not out one dime for that. All along, we're still at 47% on budget that was based off of $7.50 per $1,000. We have employees out there, they're working just about every weekend, and they're working to replace fire hydrants, they're working on street lights, they're working on streets, they're working on water main breaks. So, again, the ordinance makes it very clear that 550 brings us up to just making it. The $750 allows us to be able to get additional work done. I think that if we had our infrastructure all completely repaired, and we didn't have to work the weekends, we didn't have to go out and put in new fire hydrants, if we didn't have to fix, make repairs to our infrastructure, I think what you're bringing to the table is something good. That if we say, you know what, we've got an excess amount of funds, now let's take some of this excess amount of funds and put it over here to go toward Lake Michigan Water. The problem is there is no excess amount of funds currently. Trustee brought up some good points about what Bud said when it came to Michigan Water. The residents were informed that, to get to Lake Michigan Water, we're looking at going up to anywhere between $11 and $15 per 1,000 gallons. We're only at the $750. So, again, I think what you're bringing up is something good to think about and consider. But however, right now, we're still fixing the infrastructure, we're still fixing what needs to be repaired, and that's what that money's supposed to be used for. It's for maintaining our air strippers, to make sure the vinyl chloride is not in our waters, and it makes it very clear that our current water system, that's what we're supposed to be using that money for, to get that repaired.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be through. Because we don't need to do this back. Took us 25, 30 minutes. The reason why I brought this up, the reason why I asked about this, I've been asking about it and finally got on it to bring it in, is because we have the plan. I mean, I don't want to wait until such time that we don't have anything. I didn't ask us to do this tomorrow. I didn't ask to have this done at the next board meeting to vote on it. I brought it up so we can have consideration. We can go out as board members and do our own homework to look at. These are some of the things I brought up that we could look for in the future. Things that you just got to say, I said that before, that the reason why the money is not in there for the airstrip is because it's not in the budget because we haven't used it all. We're not through spending the loan money. And once it's just like a student loan. Once you graduate or once you finish with that money, then the money comes due. And they'll let us know what the payments are each and every month. All I'm asking is, before we get to that point, that we have something in the works, a plan in the works, plan A, B, C, D, or whatever, in the works to move forward. When we do have that money, once we get that money and we pay that off, what do we do now? Yes, we can sit up here all day long and plan for every little thing to use that money for. Yes, we can. Our infrastructure is just that old. We can plan for that. We can sit up and nitpick. I'm looking at something concrete and say, okay, let's put our hands together as a board and move and say, okay, if we don't have to take it all and put it aside, but we need to put something aside because we're not going to pay the loan payment. That's number one. You just got to say it, and that's the truth. Once the money has been spent and we finish with the loan, if it hasn't come, the money hasn't came from the government yet, from the governor's office, then we have to pay that payment. But my thing is, if we do, what plan do we have to show the public that, okay, when they come and ask, what are you guys doing as far as Lake Michigan Water? We can explain to them that we have to have X amount of money to start planning and start fixing the infrastructure so we can acquire land, so we can fix the pipes, fix the leaks. Yes, it was $12,000 for the leak detection. We got that taken. Those things, yes, I understand it. I'm just asking at this point in time, Mayor and Board, that we discuss a plan. Yes, I'm not looking to we can use that money for a lot of other things. But we're held accountable as trustees and as a board to the village to show them that that this is what we're gonna do with your money. The reason why you're paying $7.50 per 1,000 gallons, and you still have the same water that you had yesterday when you was paying $3.50. That's all I'm saying. And I'm just asking that we have a plan in place to say, okay, we're going to take this once. We don't have to do it today, but once we get through in February, whatever, if we get the money. Now, if we don't get the money, our bets are off. But if we do get the money, then this is what we plan on doing with the money that we would have gotten. Instead of taking the 4.8, this is what we're going to do with the money that we're getting each and every month in excess of the 550. That's all I'm asking. And that's all I was asking the board to do. We're not trying to debate. All I'm trying to do, Mayor and Board, is bring up a plan. You ask for recommendations. I try to do that, then I'm cut down. Now it's like I reinvented the wheel. I did. It's like I'm trying to take money and we don't have the money to do it. I'm trying to get money back. No, I'm trying to get a plan. That's what we need. We need to put a plan in place. That's all I've been asking. Let's put a plan in place. Let's put our heads together and do this if we get the money. That's all I'm asking. To have something in place, Mayor. That's all I'm asking.
Since you don't think you have money, we're going to next one, cost saving initiative. Any trustees have any cost saving initiatives? Trustee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had asked to have a gentleman put on the agenda for tonight so we could discuss the possibility. He has different avenues to get a village manager, so we weren't able to put that on the agenda for tonight. So I wanted to know, number one, what do we have to do to get something to be able to put it on the agenda? What is the right process to make that happen? It's cost saving initiatives to me.
Well, first of all, I asked for you to come talk to me. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm going to be very clear.
Yeah.
First of all, a village manager is appointed by the mayor with consent from the village. Okay? If you're looking for a village manager, I've got no problem bringing her in. However, currently, village manager funds for a village manager. We have been making cuts and deep cuts. And I've said before, if there's anyone up there on this board that knows the village manager more than you, it's probably me. Okay? But in reality, we don't have the money for this manager. And I understand that when you bring someone that says, hey, I can come in here and I can do this and this and this for you, they're coming in here saying, I can do this for you because I want to be your village manager. Okay? Number one, we don't have the money. Okay? Number two, I think we need to make sure that we're very clear about the facts about what the village manager does. And we are planning. So that's why I asked you to come talk to me.
She could stay with that.
I think that
She can stay with that.
something we really need to set up, and I understand that. But currently, the village is not because what ends up happening is you pay money now up front for village. Village manager, yes, will go out there and try to get additional grants and stuff. We have lobbyists with the person Springfield. We have direct lines with our state representative. Just look at the state representatives. Okay? We're constantly, I was talking to Mark Sevens last week. So a lot of these things that we're doing, you know, as your mayor, I'm doing this stuff already. I was talking to the governor a few weeks ago. Okay? Again, now we have a new governor. My job is to put together, the trustees talking about putting together a plan. We are working to put together a plan. So when the new governor is sworn in office, we'll get a packet, something similar to this, and say, this is from Sauk. Here's what we do. So it's the same thing that we did when I was elected mayor. We sent a packet out to the governor. We sent a packet out to our state representative, every one of our senators, both federal and state. Same thing will happen when we get this next year. That will put together a whole other packet. And if you look at the packets we put together, the board received a copy of the first packet I put together. You know, look at some of the things that we put together. You know, Jeffrey Avenue, Peterson Avenue on that packet. It's done. We put together new fire hydrants, grants, 4 things that we put together in the packet right after first being elected. The governor went off and they put $25,000 for fire hydrants, $75,000 for additional infrastructure, $135,000 for parks. There's another one. So there's 4 things there that we put together. We talked about the airstrip that we had permanent airstrip. We talked about the water issues. That was all put together in packets. We saw a grant for $4.8 million to pay for it. Because we went to the governor's office and said, this is going to cost the residents about $260,000 per year for 20 years. That's what it's going to cost the residents. The governor came back and gave us a grant. He was just here that amount. So, but with all these things, there's time to change some stuff. You know, the grant, the government just issue a check. The grant has to be spelled out. We have to get an application filled out. We work with the IDA, we work with the governor's office, I'm sure it's filled out correctly, so that the expedite. We work with our lobbyists and say, okay, we've got the application filled out, it's already in the governor's office, so we can be knocking on the governor's door saying, hey, we're at it, appropriate. Stop looking, okay, that's all coming up. Just make sure that we should add the money for the purpose. So, there's a lot of work on this. I just think that we need to be careful. Going back to what we said. And do it. And I don't know how stressful it is. I want to go. I can't hear you.
What?
Can't stress enough. I want to go to manager, but I'm looking at the best thing. And if that means I have to go to the same as the village, $100,000+ per year, I will work with the card. That's why I looked at the trustees. That's why every 2 weeks, I'm commission of I'm thinking, just work with all partners. Come back and say, here's the way that we save money.
Okay, well, I want to say this, with all due respect, I disagree. First of all, I've asked for village manager for the last 4 months. Second of all, we met the people that I brought out here to talk to you about getting a village manager. They let you know not only do they know how to get a village manager, but they told us the things that we need to get one. With most of the stuff we already have in place. We have the information that they need to fill out the grants. Third of all, if we never are able to bring anybody to the committee of the whole to talk about it, whether they're the person that want to be it or not, people that come here and talk about lights, they want us to go with their light company. People come here and talk about all kinds of things at the committee of the whole, they hope that we use their service. They came here talking about putting announcements on the water bill. She wanted us to use her service to do that with. So it seems like that's what people do that come to the committee of the whole meeting and talk about what services they have. They're hoping that you use them. However, if you never allow anybody to come to give presentations, how do you know what they can do and what they cannot do? I don't think that it's fair to say that to only have a village manager to do certain things that maybe you go out on a village manager for is why people don't want it or we can't afford it. If you have 4 mayors and 5 village managers that tell you, I know how to get money to have you a village manager, especially if you have a part-time mayor, I know how to get the funds to pay a village manager's salary, and they just want to come and do a presentation for you to hear it. To me, that's not saying that you're going to go with that person that's doing the presentation or that you're even going to let it happen. But I thought that's what the committee of the whole business were for, to be able to talk about and hash out different things that the village need with people that can come and do presentations to let us know what they have to offer or resources that they know, whether they're the person or not. So to keep talking about cost-saving initiatives, I brought up other things other than the village manager too. But however, it seems like that's a very important position to fill. I know the last village manager that we had, seeing the duty that a village manager is supposed to do, not the person that did it, was very instrumental to the mayor. And I do know that you would be glad to have a village manager, probably more than anybody else. However, if you keep putting it on the agenda, and I feel that having a village manager will help with the daily operations, as well as assisting the mayor, whatever he wants the village manager to do, as well as find other grants and money to bring to the village, to hear a person to just come and give a presentation. I don't see anything that's wrong with that. I don't see a person coming to do a presentation that's making them make us make a decision that they would be the ones to do it, if we use the resources that they bring.
Just so the village board knows, some of the things that as mayor what I've been looking at is a group called Rough Riders. They are retired former village managers, village administrators that come in, they work part-time for a very low cost. I've already started communication with them. I've already contacted our local colleges, which is Governor State and Prairie State. I've talked with Terry Winfield at Prairie State. I've talked with I can't remember her name right now, over at Governor State, to find out if they have any type of intern programs where we can bring college students in here that can help, do management positions. Maybe it's something that they're looking for a graduate degree and they need some additional time doing a full-time job. So I've reached out to them. I've reached out to South Suburban Region managers. I've talked to Ed Hazel about that. So the fact and the reality of getting a village manager has not left my sights, but I'm looking at something that number one, the village can afford, and number two, that's cost effective. So we are looking, and there may be sometime on the agenda that I bring something to the board and say, here's something for the board to consider. But when you look at a full-time village manager, you're looking at salaries of over $100,000 a year. You're looking at benefits, you're looking at perks. The village cannot afford that. That's why we do not have a village manager, number one. That's why we hired a police chief from inside internally and pumping them up. These were all cost savings initiatives that we made after we so when we say cost savings initiative, we made a decision not to hire a chief from the outside. We made a decision not to bring on a village manager. And we looked at our salary and our hourly employment. So we can talk about it some more. There has to show something that there is a true benefit, and there has to show that it's going to actually pay for itself. And again, if it's an appointment that is brought to the board by the mayor with a consent approval to vote for it.
Okay, and I just want to say, when I first brought this up and I asked if we could put together a committee of people that wanted to work on that, and the clerk came and we had talked about it, she also made that suggestion that she knows where there are retired village managers that just want to do it just to keep working because they like what they do. They don't cost a lot and they know how to find money to pay their own salaries. So again, I'm asking if we can't invite them to come to do a presentation here, and you should just want me to talk to you first before they come, or you no longer want me to pursue it. If they're telling me that they know for a fact, and I've given some of these mayor's names.
If you want to bring them to my attention, have them contact me as a problem.
Okay.
Because with a village manager, someone that the mayor will bring before the village.
That's how Lewis did it.
Coming to do a presentation on the committee of the whole meeting nights to let them know and to let the residents hear different plans and resources that they have where they can actually get someone to come on board. I know whoever the person would be that would be appointed to the position would be recommended by the mayor and recommended to the board of what that process entails. But I'm just talking about cost-saving initiatives. If we could get someone to come and do a presentation, not just one person. We heard about the lights from 3 different companies. So it could be more than one person that could come and tell us something to get a village manager part-time, full-time, 2 hours a week. I just thought that that's something that we really wanted and needed. We didn't have to pay for it. I know the village can't afford it, so they were doing a presentation saying that they have found resources to pay for the village manager's position, and they wanted to share that with the mayor and the board.
I just have a question. Don't we currently have people on layoff status?
Salary personnel, but not in their administration.
Salary personnel, okay, but I guess a village manager would be salary, correct?
Village manager is more or less an officer, which is just like you have your police chief, your fire chief.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Don't we currently have people that are administrative? Okay.
Any other outstanding initiatives? Public comment, all questions, comments, Mr. Director to the mayor. Choice. Each speaker will be allowed an opportunity to speak. Will you please state your name and address?
Larry Stewart, Sauk Village. I was very.
You do not have to give your address.
You're excused. But as I was saying, this was a good discussion. I was very impressed with it. I love the way we're moving forward. Where, I don't know. But there were things that I want to bring out. Trustees, Mayor, The trustees are trying to bring up issues that they believe will move us forward. I was listening quite well. I don't think that the whole board understands that. We're not moving forward. I understand we'll be fixing water main breaks as long as people are alive. That's the only thing I see. I don't see where we have any cost initiative savings. I don't see where we have anyone outside of ourselves up there that know what we're doing. I admire what some people are trying to do. Somebody they think can do more than what's being done up there. I applaud them. The others, keep sitting on your stumps.
I would like to say that Burgess had a good point, but I think that he's asking for a little bit too much of the overlap to go to an earmark. Maybe 50% of whatever lies. If his figure is correct. Say the Linda, you gotta wait till he get reelected to get a business manager. Get one right now, people will remember what he did. They should have. So you have to wait till he get reelected, and maybe the economy will turn around.
I got two questions. My name is Harvey. I do call this two questions. Western Water. There's a pothole right over here at Sauk Trail. Between right where Family Dollar is coming out of that lot. It is right there on Sauk Trail. I want to know what are you going to do about that? Well, number two. You have 6 trustees on the board. 2 of them have more than one committee, but you got 1 trustee on the board that has no committee. I want to know what's going on there. How come he's not on the committee?
All right, first one, State Road. We've heard the audience already talk about it. That's not in Road Street. So what we'll do is, I know that we contact the state all the time about their roads. We contact the county about problems. So we'll shoot out another message out to them about South. I know exactly what you're talking about. I hit it last night. We do have 1 trustee that have committee. We're in talks, trustee and I, and looking for a committee that's something that will benefit the village of South Village. And he's working on some ideas, and he'll be coming for the board. I'm not going to say when, but he brings some ideas to me. I may be a little bit too picky. I go back with him. He comes back. We've met, 3 times, 4 times now? So we've gone back and forth and make sure that we present it to the board, that the board will have a clear understanding exactly what committee we want to have, and it's something that the trustee wants to be able to do. So, but again, maybe it's more my fault because I may be a little too picky. But I want to make sure that when he presents it to the board, it's clear. The board will have no questions about it.
On behalf of the Sauk Citizens for Public Awareness, I want to make a couple comments. According to Illinois EPA, the groundwater beneath well 3 is not fit for human consumption. However, you got an item 6 cost saving initiative, and by your own words, you said we pay $12,000 a month for air stripping. Can you tell me how that's a cost initiative? How long do you expect residents of this town to keep paying for 3 50-year-old wells when the infrastructure is not bad? When are we going to start fixing the infrastructure? There's a leak survey that has been completed by Robinson Engineering. Why isn't those, we know where the leaks are, why aren't they being fixed? And if they're being fixed, where, when, how, and how long is it going to take? Because you know, for Illinois Department of Natural Resources, you have to reduce the leak usage. So I'd like to know when is all this stuff going to be done. My second comment is that why do you expect the residents of this town to pay twice as much for contaminated, excuse me, I'll wait till you finish. Apparently not, because we ain't got Lake Michigan water. So, my next question is, how long do you expect the residents of this town to pay twice as much to treat contaminated water? How long do you think we're putting a Band-Aid on 350-year-old wells is going to be cost-effective to anybody in this village? And I'd like to know, why are you just ignoring what the people mandate? And my recommendation, my first statement one, do what the people want. Stop playing around and giving them twice, give them all that running around what they doing with the money. You got our money, give us what we want. And we have voted for legislative water. I know there are things to be done, but you guys have not developed a plan, and you have been in office almost 2 years. Where is the plan? Let us get together and find out what we need to do in order to get Lake Michigan water. Reduce those leaks. You got our money. What are you doing with it? Other than paying everybody else except for us. Now I'm ready. I'm done.
All right, I know residents keep on saying, you know, show me what's being done. I asked the trustee this and stuff here. You know, one thing that's very difficult to show is work that's being done underground. It's very difficult to show you work that's being done in our wells. You know, you talk about when we're going to start working on our infrastructure. When we start working on our infrastructure, you talk about when we're going to start working on our wells. Well number 3 is complete. Well number 3, the permits have all been applied to the IEPA. We've gone through all the testing. Well number 3 is going to be up and running again with the permission and approval of the IEPA. Everyone wants to talk about contaminated water. You know, I don't care where you're drinking water from. If you're drinking water from Lake Michigan, it's contaminated. No one's going to go out to Lake Michigan and grab a glass of water and start drinking. So the water is being treated, and the water that you're getting to your house is contaminant free. That's what Sauk should provide. Sauk is working with the IEP and the Attorney General, and we're making sure that we're providing safe drinking water. Once well number 3 is up and running, we've met all the requirements of the IEPA. Now, people ask, well, what's being done? You know, we can look at things like this right here. All new wells. You want to know what we've done to our wells, all new iron removal systems, all new permanent air strippers. We're talking about all new pipes and things like that. So this is currently well number 3. This is work that has been done at well number 3. You have a brand new well sitting at well number 3. You've got work being done at wells number 1 and 2. And so, you know, everyone wants to say, show me. Some of this stuff is difficult to show people. And again, these are actual pictures of work that has been done and that is currently being done. You know, again, when you talk about your infrastructure, that is something that people don't see unless you see someone out there digging, but you still don't see the work that's being done underground. So work is getting done. Work is happening. We talk about moving forward. You know, we just spent $18,000, I can't remember what the number is, but we just spent money on buying new fire hydrants to come in, so we can start repairing fire hydrants again. We approved overtime on Saturdays to fix fire hydrants, to fix street lights. You know, residents were saying, I got street lights out from my house, but it's been out for over 2 or 3 years. Those street lights are repaired now. You know, so we're out there working. People want to know what we're doing on infrastructure, and work is getting done. And I'll talk to Kevin and start taking more pictures, because again, infrastructure, things that are underneath the ground, is not something that people see. It's not something that you notice when you drive by. So work is being done. And that's the question about the new air strippers. I just showed you the new strippers. Talk about what the people mandated. Okay, granted, we already talked about people mandating. Number one, shall the village of Sauk Village pursue Lake Michigan water? We still continue to pursue Lake Michigan water. Shall the village of Sauk Village do it at a certain cost? That cost is not to exceed $11 per 1,000 gallons. We know currently to get Lake Michigan water in here, with everything that has been figured in, to do all the repairs, we're looking at close to $20 million to be able to get Lake Michigan water here. $20 million, if you figure it out, brings your water rates up to anywhere between $11 to $15 per 1,000 gallons. That puts us over the amount that the village residents approves. So, what are we doing now? We're fixing our infrastructure so that things are repaired that cost less. We're trying to reduce that $20,000 down as we repair our infrastructure, as we make repairs to our systems. That's less things that have to be repaired. That's less things that we have to go off and get additional funds to be able to get Lake Michigan water here. Things are happening. And maybe we'll have Jim at one of the board meetings kind of give an update on some of the things that we're working on. Again, we're constantly out there with CDGB, Community Development Block Grant, trying to get additional funds to make additional repairs to our streets and to our infrastructure. We're trying to make sure that when we repair our streets, that we're repairing our infrastructure at the same time. That's what's important also, because it does us no good to repair a street and come back through and have to tear a street up to repair our infrastructure. So we're trying to do that work as we go along. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we're doing. So
you addressed everything except the 12,000 you said was the cost initiative for using this airstrip. That's the cost initiative.
All right,
12,000 a month.
Let's go back and then look at it. The state came back in, and usually I'm not going to rebuttal these, so I will discuss this. Because this is one of our points we'd like to discuss. The state they're paying almost $80,000 a month for airstrippers. After becoming acting mayor, I went in and renegotiated the price down to $55,000 a year. After becoming mayor, we ended up purchasing those airstrippers. The $12,000 a month pays for what they call generators, frag tanks, and things like that. Everything that we've got new coming in. Okay, if you look at, we show one of our brand new cat generators. That's ours now, sitting where it belongs. We've got one coming in. I think it came here for 1 or 2 coming in to the low number, 1 and 2. So what we ended up doing was we purchased those permanent air strippers. Once wells 1 and 2 goes back up, number one, we won't be paying $12,000 a month for renting the equipment. And we are going to turn around and sell, which was part of the agreement, sell those temporary air strippers back to the company that sold it to us. So we've already got the attorneys contacting them, letting them know that how close we are to being complete in those number 1 and 2, and to have them start preparing to pay us. And we're trying to figure out a date that they can come and pick up those temporary air strippers. So, you look at $80,000 when we became the acting mayor, down to $55,000 a month, down to owning those temporary air strippers that we're going to turn around and sell back. So, go back, and it's all part of it. We voted on it during village board meetings. So you can see how we talk about cost savings. We went from $80,000 a month down to $12,000 a month to pay for things that we have to rent because we don't own them. And in the long run, the renting was easier than to go ahead and purchase because we already knew that part of the loan and part of the money, the grant money is coming in, was going to include these large generators, which cost, I can't remember what they were hundreds of thousands of dollars for these generators. So the $12,000 a month that we pay is minimal compared to what we have today. So there has been cost savings all along, going all back to that. As soon as I became acting mayor, we started negotiating. After I became mayor, we negotiated further, and we turned around the profit. So there is work. There's constantly work going on. There's constant negotiation going on. And even though you don't hear about cost savings initiatives in this meeting, believe me, I'm out there every week looking for cost savings initiatives.
Can I ask one more question?
Because your time is up.
And
you can ask me after.
No, this is fantastic. You finally gave me an answer to something.
If you want more, then we'll talk to me after the meeting.
And it's a real easy question. Okay, and I think that was really, really easy.
Langston. I'm a little confused. You keep talking about the water rates. Am I understanding that our 550, we were just breaking even? And the $2 increase was supposed to cover any other costs that we have. I did not realize that it went for Lake Michigan water. My understanding that if we wanted Lake Michigan water, it would go 11 per thousand or up. And yet I'm hearing them saying, save the money for Lake Michigan water. Isn't that, we haven't even started billing for Lake Michigan water. Isn't that true? And I don't know. I can't see putting money aside because you've still got payroll and union negotiation that might want increase during that time. Isn't that part of the money from the water department? Isn't that a salary?
No.
That was my understanding of it. That's it.
Oh, you ask a question?
I can if you want. You know, the water fund does, part of the water fund does pay for salaries. And we do have unions in our water department. So there is union negotiations, we have them a year before we have to start negotiating with them again. But you are correct. The water fund helps pay for maintaining, operating, repairs, and part of it is for salaries. So you are correct.
I'm Nathan Christian from Brookwood, 22317 Brookwood. And I have several questions. When we talking about lack of funds and also water, when it comes to the lack of funds, why would the board agree to Rich Construction, which is located in Diane, doing board work, and the people is laid off from Public Works? How many lawyers do we have representing the village? I also would like to know, 7 or more, we have 7 or more SUVs. SUVs are more expensive than a regular car. We had our own ambulance service. We disbanded that. We got Bud service, Bud ambulance service. They're more expensive. The ambulance service, I think that we did a wonderful job. Also the paramedics, it was marvelous. They did a marvelous job. And when it comes to a law firm, I would like to ask you, what order do you go by in selecting a law firm? Also, I read in the paper there where we're supposed to be getting the money. Now, do we have the money? Is that for real? Do we have the money? And what is the purpose of getting the loan? And why can't you use the loan for the purpose of it was meant for? Why is it so hard to agree and come together as a board? I really like to know that. Why is it so hard to come together? Seems like nobody wants to agree on nothing. You fight among yourselves. When you fight among yourselves, we are in the audience out here. We see, we hear, and we know. I don't understand. We must have a plan. You are there. And I think the trustees need to get together with them and sit down and really talk this thing over.
Taking copious notes.
I know we can do better.
So he can respond to all the points.
We talk about the last administration. I don't think this is no better. It might be a little bit. And the only reason it might be shining a little bit is due to the fact you don't want to hear it, maybe a whole lot of other people don't want to hear it. But the last mayor, he wasn't treated right. So now, if you didn't treat him right, I hope you treat this man right. But as I say, we must come together. You got to come together. And if you don't come together, you're going to have the same problems that we've been having.
There you go. Your time's up. I'm going to run through these as quickly as possible, okay? We talked about lack of funds, but the village, to be honest with you, the village runs into cycles. We receive tax revenue this time of year, we receive tax revenue. About how there's gaps in between. Sauk Village has always, in the past, in those gaps, received a low interest loan for about $500,000 of line of credit. Sauk Village hasn't done that quite a few years. The previous administration used to use the water fund. We gave ourselves the loan. We weren't paying interest back. So we know that as a village, we know there's a gap. What happens is we get this money right here, it pays for everything. So everything that's budgeted for is paid based off of what we receive through tax revenue. Rich Construction is a company that is working for fire departments, police departments, working for municipalities. They are there's no one out in the industry to come out and at a moment's notice when you need them to board ups. So that's why we use them. You talked about how many lawyers we have. When it comes to general counsel, we have a lawyers that deals with additional lawsuits that deals with our insurance companies. They appoint, our insurance companies appoint different attorneys. So there may be additional one or two attorneys out there that we're not appointed by the village, they're appointed by our insurance companies. So that's where we want to have one lawyer to deal with the service here in the council. We talked about SUVs, which we have for our police department. Now, we gave a lot of thought to this. We know that after last winter, we had a lot of problems with being able to provide services. We had to have someone come in and borrow SUVs because the roads were so bad. We look at other police departments, and the SUVs are the way that everyone is going to get it, put your officers higher up, allows them to be able to see and to be able to get where they need to go. Talk about the ambulance service. The ambulance service right now currently costs the village right around $50,000 a year. Versus when we had our own ambulance service, it was right around about $200,000 to $250,000 a year. We talk about cost savings. To have our own ambulance service, it costs a lot more. So about it comes out to be about four or five times more, but it costs us to lease an ambulance service. We already talked about the law firm. When it comes to the grant from the governor's office, that is not a loan, that is a grant. We are using it for what the governor intended for it to be used for. I've contacted the governor's office, and especially when the trustees brought it to attention, they didn't believe me. I contacted the governor's office and just to make sure, hey, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? They assured me that this is a grant to pay off the loan interest loan. They worked with Mr. Mohan to make sure that all the grants applications were completed correctly. Again, I just got to talk to our state representative, P.L.A.N, and our sevens. Hopefully, I was hoping before tonight I'll get a letter from them to reassure the residents because they know exactly what they're supposed to do. And I told them that their names were being used. I understand that they didn't have to use it that way, so they're just coming back with something from their office to assure the residents that we're using money for this. And then you talk about coming together. Now, I think the board has come together a great deal. Tonight, as a committee, this is what meetings are about. This is where you have a discussion. This is where if you want to say you're passionate about the call, you're out here, this is what the meetings are for. You look at our regular board meetings. Our regular board meetings, what did they say last week? Last week, you guys were out by 7:30. I mean, when you look at what's being voted on, you know, the board did not always agree, but you know what? Not everyone in this whole entire audience can turn around and say, well, agree on something. But what's important is that this board has learned to disagree, but not be disagreeable. That's what's important. So on a meeting night like tonight, a meeting, you passionately fight for what you think you want. Okay? Not everyone's going to agree. But what's important is next Tuesday, we come up here and we sit behind these dais, and we represent the village of Sauk Village, and we say we're taking a vote. It doesn't matter how these trustees vote, because they're voting on what they think is the best interest. They're voting for what they feel the people are. So there's going to be certain things up there next week that there's going to be yeses, and there's going to be no's. So you talk about the fighting and the problems we had in the previous administration. There's nothing like that here. What I see here tonight, I had no problem with. I think that's what it's all about. When you go down to Springfield, I mean, you're not going to see that in Springfield. All you got to do is watch CNN and all your other ones, C-SPAN, and you're going to see them yelling and screaming, getting up there, and you're going to see them going at it. I encourage you to watch C-SPAN sometime and see what's happening in Springfield, what's happening in Washington. This is minor.
Yes.
You know, this here is what it's about. This is how work gets done. And again, I have, you know what? I agree, but I disagree. I think we need to come together to one thing, that we can work as a board, and we can disagree with each other, but not be disagreeable. And you know what? This board has come to that point. It doesn't matter how Trustee Morton votes, it doesn't matter how Trustee Burgess votes, it doesn't matter how Trustee Youngquist, everyone, Trustee Myers, Trustee Washington, Trustee Austin, Trustee Williams. It doesn't matter how you vote on something. What's important is that we come together on the next subject and say, what are we going to do? And we bring it up to a vote and we continue to move forward. That's what's important. Again, tonight is a beginning night. This is what this is for. That's why we sit down here on the ground. That's why we trustees face each other to be able to go back and forth on something that's going to be potentially voted on next week. That's what it's about. And then we come up next week at a board meeting and we conduct business as professionals. That's what it's about. And I tell you what, this board has come together. You're not going to agree on everything. We have everything up here from males to females to the different races, to the different ages. So, and like I said, I could ask a question out there and have a show of hands. I can almost guarantee you that it's not going to be 100%. Right? You know, that's why we have democracy. That's why when there's elections, you have a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, and an Independent. That's why you have different people that vote. That's why different parties get different amounts of votes. That's what it's about. So I have a problem with that. Church and good data. And that's what it's about. And I'm sure we're going to have lots of discussion. But it's not, that's no good. You're trying to go.
He's going to speak more. He's going to be able to say.
I'm just answering these questions. If you want to talk more, right? Thank you.
Judy Grant's here. I understand everything that you said, and yet I have a question. When you have a trustee that is trying to bring forth an initiative, and then he's struck down or ridiculed or pushed aside, that's division. And I see division. I don't see apples, I don't see oranges. I see questions or making a suggestion torn to shreds. Here's my problem. You were excited and said that getting this grant from the governor was going to save the village of Sauk Village over $200,000 a year for 20 years. Out of that $200,000 plus, because I don't remember the exact amount, I'm sorry, you paid off the loan. That means that you are getting 7.5, I believe, dollars per 10,000 gallons or whatever it is. That no longer, that money that you're talking about, that we need to continue with this, and apples and oranges and all that stuff, is nothing but confusion. You have $200,000 a year for 20 years that we're saving. What are you doing with that?
There you go.
Isn't a portion of that set aside better than nothing when we get down the road to where we want to turn the knob and turn on Chicago Water? Or are we going to say, you know what, villagers, we're up to $11, and now we've got to, we got to float another loan, which means your tax dollar is going to go up another whatever, and more people will move out of town. That's it on the water bit, but I think if you're saving $200,000 a year, that some of that money could be set aside. And it doesn't mean all, it doesn't mean it has to. It means that you have $200,000 a year for 20 years that you could sit down and talk as a group of board members and decide, is that feasible or not? Not that you have to write it in blood or chip it in stone. Talk about it. Don't shove somebody aside. Secondly, the cost initiative. You had one trustee, two trustees, talk about cost initiative things. The rest of them sat there. Other people have given suggestions, and they're torn to shreds. So why would anybody want to give any initiatives if they're torn apart? Or they come up with, well, what's your solution to the problem? Did anybody ever think about pay freezes? Twice you've given pay raises, and I'm not saying that the people that got the pay raises didn't deserve them. I'm saying we don't have the money. I heard you.
All right. Again, division. It is what it is.
Speak up.
When it
I
comes
can
to
hear you.
the amount that the governor's office came with money to pay, again, you're right. We're glad that for the next 2 years we're going to $250,000 a year. But again, that gives us $260,000 a year to make the repairs and fix our infrastructure that we would not have for 20 years.
Can you use the mic, please?
I can't hear you.
That allows us to make the needed repairs that we would not have been able to make. So, again, and without having to raise our water rates again. Because you think about it, if we would have had a loan, we would have been stagnant again, not being able to do anything. We would have taken that money to pay off the loan, and for us to do any additional repairs, we would have to raise water rates again. So, we're not going to have to raise water rates. We are going to be able to take that money and make sure we repair infrastructure. And you talk about pay raises. There was some pay raises, again, very minimal. When you look at some of our departments who hadn't received pay raises since like 2008. Some of our employees get pay raises.
Property tax.
Our union employees got pay raises through their negotiated contract. I've got no problem, and I've got it written on my desk. And in fact, I can show you if you want to see it during the meeting. Some of the things that we're going to talk about in some of our upcoming meetings. And one of them is for a decrease in pay for elected officials.
Start.
So, we'll probably end up talking about that. If the board is willing to take a decrease in pay. We want to put things out there, we'll put cost savings. If no one's going to put cost savings out there.
Start with
So, and again, we all know that it won't affect elected officials until after they're reelected, or until someone new is elected. So, there's other things that I have written down on my desk already, preparing for upcoming meetings. So, again, that's what we're looking at on cost savings. We're looking at making sure that we continue to push forward.
Voluntarily give your money back.
Gentleman Jones, I have a couple simple yes and no questions. Yes and no, has there ever been money transferred or taken taken from the water fund to pay other things other than water? That's a no here. Why are there any trustees being paid for committee meetings that were not attended? Another question is there a written plan and timeline in place for the water improvement? That's it.
All right, first question was, has money ever been transferred? And I can say yes, and I can say it's not according to state statute. We're borrowing from debt obligations. It's right part of state statute. If you look at the IML state statute book, page number 349, it falls under Illinois 45-50, 45-55, 45-90, 45-85, 45-35, 5-8-1-3. Those are all state statutes. That says that a municipality may also borrow money from one of the municipal funds to use for another fund, provided such as borrowing shall be repaid within the fiscal year in which it was borrowed. We follow the state statutes. We're supposed to, the monies that are borrowed are paid back as soon as we receive our funds. So the question is, yes, do we borrow funds? Yes, we do. Do we do it in lieu of going out and getting a low interest loan and paying a bank additional interest? Yes, we do. So that's one thing. Second, trustees pay for committee meetings. Trustees are paid for committee meetings. We are on a honor system. Trustees have to fill out a form with the committee, their committee name, the date that they had the meeting, and I think that's about it, right? The name, someone has to say the name of the committee, the date, and then you have to sign it. So we're on an honor system on what they're doing. So the answer is, I don't know how I should answer this. It's something about trustees are paid for committee meetings. I use the whole entire thing.
They are not in attendance.
Okay, trustees have to get paid, they have to be in attendance. So I can't tell you, I don't come to every meeting. Again, we're on the honor system. We're all adults here, so they fill out their own sheets. Timelines for water improvements, there is a timeline, especially when it comes to our permanent air strippers currently, and with our new town tire wells. There's a timeline that spells out exactly, and it's through the IEPA, it's through the Attorney General, and again, we are on a tight timeline. In fact, we had 1 year from the time it started, we just went back, the IEPA requested additional work, and take additional timing, so we had to go back in and get that time extended. But there is times it talks about they do this, they do that, right down the line.
So that's in reference to the work that's being done that we can't see. So I just want to know, is there a written plan for the work that we can't see that's being done?
Yeah, there is, and it's our engineers are in charge of all that, and they put everything together, especially when it comes to all the work that's being done. When you look at this right here, there's a plan that says we have a certain amount of time to get those air strippers, or a certain amount of time. If you look at it further down the line, by this date, air strippers supposed to be on the property. By this date, all this work was supposed to be completed. By this date, we're supposed to go in for testing and make sure water improved. So there is a timeline, but like I said, that timeline with any job was just extended. And I'm trying to think if it was extended 30 or 90 days. I don't remember what it was. Because request by the IEPA, which is 2021 too, they wanted different stuff, different timelines. So the answer is yes. Anything else? As for miscellaneous business?
I have a couple of things. One thing that was discussed was particular trustees bringing things up and being shut down. I think that nobody on the board said no. I think that we discussed it. I think that we talked about, we're not saying apples and oranges. Okay, I don't see the problem in waiting 6 months. I think we've said about 5 times that the grant money hasn't come in. So, we're talking about ifs right now. If it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. We don't have it right now. It's not existent. It's been promised to us. I'm sure it's coming, but we don't have it. This is still if. So when we get the money, then we can look and see how the $200,000 a year that's supposed to be saved over 20 years worth of time, how that's going to affect us. But we don't have it yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. So I thought that the suggestion of waiting 6 months was not an unreasonable one. We know what's going to happen. Let's wait 6 months and see how the money has actually, how it's affected us. Okay? We know that it's coming. We know what we're projecting, but our budgets are projected. Budgets are written on pieces of paper. They're fluid. They change all the time. So I think that that's something that we need to look at. Another thing, the representation of a problem does not equal a solution. Just because you say this is what's happening, unless you're able to provide a solution, that's kind of, like I said, it's a representation. It's stirring the pot. And I'm not saying that anybody in this board has done that, but what I would prefer, if we've got a problem as a board, I would prefer black and white. This is what it is. This is what I identify the problem is. This is what I would suggest the solution is. And then have the discussion, okay? To me, that's going to be progress, to promote something that's going to make progression. It's not just saying, this is the problem, let's discuss it. Because individuals are going to want to take the time, like Trustee Berger said, take the time to do their own research. So it's not something that's going to happen at a board meeting. It's not something that's going to say, this is what happens, let's fix it tonight. Because that's not the way the government works. It's not. Small town politics, federal government, that's not the way it works. I think we talked about people disagreeing. When everybody up here agrees, we're called bobbleheads. When people disagree, oh no, it's a huge problem. Can't have it both ways. This was a healthy discussion. I don't necessarily agree with the way he looked at it. I think he had a healthy discussion. I don't see what the problem is. I think the 6 months was actually a compromise, and I think it's something that we should definitely do to look back into it. Last thing, the water. I'm so sick and tired of talking about water. So this is what I want. The clerk, would you have ready? So I want the lawyers to look at a new referendum. We talked about the referendum not exceeding $11. That's funny. It's going to exceed $11 if we go with machine water. So I want new numbers drawn up. I want to know the new referendum for $15, not to exceed $15. From Mohan, I want a suggestion of titration to $11 over the next 3 years. I want also an account for the water account. I want to know what's gone in and what's gone out in the last 12 months. I want to know the number of current shut-offs for the past 12 months for the village, Sauk Village. I want to know what is the percentage of the water account that pays for salaries. I also want to know current overtime numbers for the past 6 months. From water and sewer. From Robinson, I want the past water presentation. I want them to come back and redo it. I also want them to do research into a new presentation, because I'm telling you the numbers have changed. The numbers that they programmed into that presentation have changed. Every other place that's selling their water to other villages have raised their rates. Therefore, that presentation from 2 years ago is no longer valid. However, people need to see that old one, and I want a new one. I want them to come here and present to the people who care. The people who care are in the board meetings. They are here. They may have watched it. They may not remember it. I want the screen up. I want Jim with the clicker. I want him pointing just like he did before. And then I want him to come back and give me the numbers.
Can we get copies? Can we get copies of all that? No, they don't give you copies.
I just have a couple of things. I know you mentioned, Mayor, that you're going to get letters. I'd like to see that letter coming. The only person I mentioned that told me anything about the loan was our representative, Mark Savage. So if you got a letter stating that it's something else with that, I would love to see it. See that it's right, because that's not what he told me. But if you say you got letters coming, I want to see that. Also, you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, about pay decreases. I'm sure that's not just the board. I'm sure it's the mayor and the clerk too. I'm sure it's all elected officials. So that's something that I have no problem with. I mean, if we asking people to take cuts, we should also take cuts. So therefore, I have no problem with that. And that does come as a referendum. That's not just a whatever. You have to vote. You vote on that. So that's a referendum. And well, ordinance. You still got to vote. You still got to vote. I'm sorry. Ordinance. I'm sorry. It was ordinance. And the last thing I have tomorrow here at 7 o'clock, we will have another town hall meeting. Again, it'll be here tomorrow at 7 o'clock right here in the Village Rotunda. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got a couple of reminders. Santa's still coming to town on December 6th, so that'll be at 10 o'clock. On the 4th and 5th, the 4th will be our next Parks and Rec meeting that will be held at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the water plant down on Nichols Avenue down there. We'll be putting a quote together for Santa. So if anybody's got some time for that, mark it on your calendar for the 4th and 5th. That gives you some help on that. So this Friday from 5 to 7 at the community center will be the basketball program sign-ups. So if you know any kids from the age of 7 to 15 that are looking to play basketball, have them come and sign up. That's all I have.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just have one thing. I forgot, I didn't know if we was going to stand up and mention it, but one of our intergovernmental relations committee members is here today, Kevin Posey, and he does have a great announcement. I thought he was going to stand up when it was time for questions and answers. So could you please come to the podium, sir, right quick, and give your announcement that you went out and now secured for the village.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I didn't speak. I just didn't know it was the right time. Me and my organization, we moved before Congress, and we actually spoke to a couple of Congress people and got a donation of 1,500 brand new books to go to the school district 168. We're going to go pick up the books on Thursday. We're going to be doing an official presentation either later on this week, which I think is not possible as per their schedule this week, or official presentation next week. We're playing it off of when the governor will be, when the present governor or the governor-elect will be available, because we don't want to overstage them for what they may be having, because I know the governor's going to have a lot of things. So please, Mayor, it would be an honor to have your presentation of the trustees for the betterment of the schools. And so then the board updated.
Thank you.
Just a couple things here. Kimberly Clark is one of our 911 dispatchers, and she is going to be having a fundraiser December 2nd. If you check out on probably anybody's Facebook here at Sauk Village, you'll probably see it. It's on my personal page. It's on my trustee page as well. Please go to one of the sites and check them out, and hopefully you can attend that. On a personal note, as a resident and as an elected official, I attended Officer Gondek's wake and funeral. It was a privilege and an honor to take part in that. It was a wonderful service. Some of the other elected officials did show up, and it was just truly touching, and it's heart-wrenching to lose him. He's done so many things for certain residents in this community. I've heard a lot of good positive stories and stuff like that, and he is truly going to be missed. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. First of all, I would like to encourage the elected officials to refrain from apologizing when we have to stay longer, because we are up here talking about solutions to different issues that we have in the village. And I know that some of the residents may have to leave, like some of them did leave, but those that want to stay will stay. But that's why we're here to work out and to come up with solutions to different issues that we have. And when everybody keeps saying, I'm going to make this quick, I don't want to talk long, I know the hours get late, it's almost like, let's just come up with something that can just work for right now. We need to actually talk about it and go on and work it out. Also, I wanted to say that the last committee of the meeting of the whole that we had was canceled, and I think it was mentioned because we didn't have nothing on the agenda. Somebody asked, why was it canceled last committee of the whole? They said because there was nothing on the agenda. So when I actually put things on the agenda, that's why I brought that up tonight. What process is it to go through there, but put something on the agenda, because not only do we not get to talk about solutions, and we have a lot of things to talk about in Sauk Village, at the committee of the whole meeting, that's the only time that the residents are able to speak what's on their mind. So when we cancel those meetings, they don't have an opportunity to say what they want to say as well. Also, I would like to say that Neighborhood Watch, we're going to be having our next meeting on Monday, December the 8th. We're going to be having a celebration. We have previously said it was going to be a Christmas party. However, due to different religious beliefs of some of the block club captains, I cannot use the word Christmas, so I have to change it to say we're going to have an end of the year celebration for all the hard work that the block club captains have done. And we'd like to invite anyone that wants to come. It's going to be at the fire station. It is going to be a potluck. So if you want to come, you can feel free to come on December the 8th. That's the second Monday in December at the fire station. We're going to have a wonderful, wonderful time. I don't know how we cannot sing jingle bells and nothing that say Christmas. So I got to figure that one out. But if you have any suggestions from the audience on the kind of music I can play other than Christmas, then let me know for a Christmas party. Oh, Holy Night. All right.
That's what it's about Christmas.
Oh, amen.
About Christ's birth.
Amen. Okay, moving right along. In the Sauk Talk, on the page that says what's happening in Sauk Village, if you notice there's two things in there. If you've got the Sauk Talk on the back table, that's the meeting about the Neighborhood Watch Christmas Party. Also, the second one is going to be a Deputy Registrar's class on December the 11th. For those that don't know, no one should be out registering people to vote at this time. This is information that I'm giving to the village. If you're going to register somebody, it has to be 30 days after the gubernatorial election was held. So no one should be registering anyone right now. The very next day is the day that we're going to have a class for anyone that wants to be a deputy register. It's free to anyone that wants to be one. I announced this at our last meeting. I got over 20 names. I already faxed those names to David Orr's office, and they will be here on the 11th with your packet. Anyone that wants to be a deputy register, it's free. You don't get paid for registering people to vote. It doesn't matter what umbrella you go up under. That person does not get paid. It just allows you and affords you an opportunity to register anyone to vote, regardless to what party they want to vote for in the state of Illinois. So I have people from outside of Sauk Village that are coming to take that class because it's a very great credential to have. And I want the villagers to know if they want to take it, we'll be over there and it's in the Sauk Talk. Also, I want to applaud the residents for coming out tonight and for asking questions. You know, we push our board, push transparency, and I just want to speak on behalf of the committee that I chair under the mayor's appointment with the board's approval for Neighborhood Watch. We are very transparent. We have collected money, tagging for fines. We have collected money for book bags. I have always been upfront about the videos that we have available in the front office off of the Video Happy, where we have different people in the village participating in that video. If you have any questions about Neighborhood Watch, you can always feel free to talk to me, to ask me. I want to just put it out there that I am not going to jail for glue, erasers, rulers, book bags, street signs. I am not going to jail for any of that. I don't count any money by myself. All the money goes to the front office. I have a lot of witnesses. FYI. And finally, I want to say that I appreciate everyone that has helped me over the last year. with the no bullying and the no texting campaign. We have a beautiful display that I want to show the mayor to put out in the front. We are ending up that campaign by collecting names. So if you did not sign the no texting while driving pledge, or you know any young people or adults that want to sign the no bullying pledge, we're still taking those names to make a beautiful presentation. And I may ask the mayor if it's okay if I ask the beautification committee if they can help give me some guidelines, because they really decorate things really beautifully, because we really want to make it look nice out in the foyer. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Pretty hard to follow that. Okay, a few items. One, I thought this was a very important meeting tonight. I thought it ran well. We discussed things. We got things in line. We didn't say no to anything tonight. We have several things we're looking into, several things we want some answers on. I thought it was very important. I can remember a time when we used to get up here and darn near throw bottles back and forth for each other and try to get one another here. Tonight, I thought it went very well. Now, working on projects, a couple of people said that the ones that wasn't mentioned tonight should get out there. I'll be nice, get up there and work on it. Well, I know for a fact every trustee up here has a project that they're working on to try to bring in income into the village. Every single one of us. Unfortunately, mine will stop during the election because I won't have to deal with the state controller and a few other politicians. And they were busy trying to get reelected. But I assure you that I will be back out there trying to find out how we can get these notices out to the people that owes us over $350,000 of fines, and we'll start collecting. The study that Rosie requested, I don't know, the study of information. I would love to be able to have a copy of that. Matter of fact, I think the whole board should have a copy of it. That would help all of us, and some of the things that you name in there, that yes, that would definitely help us make a decision.
You know, that's also online already. It's been online since the day after. I don't think it's ever been. But we'll put it out for you.
We'll like to take a place. Okay. And just to let people know, back in 06, there was an ordinance passed that by now, all of us should be paying $10.56 per 1,000 gallons of water in this town. That's an ordinance that we amended. Now we're only paying $7.50. So people, we could be hurting a heck of a lot more. But we amended it and we're looking at it now. But just remember, before you insert foot, you might want to check the thing. And that is an ordinance. The other one is my hat goes off to the young man that took up on his own, went down and got stuff for our school district for those kids. That's what I'm talking about. Not an activity that we did. Not to don't do this on this young man. That's right. And went out on his own. Yep. And I didn't know anything about it. I don't think anybody knew anything about it. Nope. And my hat was off to him. If there's anything I can possibly do, I'm out there to help the son. And I use son usually because I'm old enough to use that. Okay. But I will help. And the other question was about meetings and stuff. We also, the mayor did mention, we have to turn in a sheet into the finance, and then he double checks with the clerk. They go through a lot. No, we don't get paid for meetings. I wasn't here for 2 meetings, and I guarantee you, I was not get paid for those 2 meetings, and I'm not asking to get paid for those 2 meetings. But I don't think there's none of us up here to try and steal money from this village. We're all trying to do the job that you guys put this there. And we would love to have your help instead of the negativity and come up and talk to us. Let's get together and start working together. I've said it 1,000 times. This arguing back and forth is not going to do it. And the gentleman said it earlier tonight, that it's time for us to start moving on to the forward. It seems lately we do something good and we get down, kick in our teeth and put back down 2 or 3 notches. But you know, Rosie, I love you. That comment you made, we say yes, we're bow heads. We say no, we're no good. So when you can't win, that's why we're here. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Trustee Myers, just to clarify one thing, I do not check your attendance for your individual committee meetings because I'm not present at those. The only things I check for your attendance are the meetings at the board. I just wanted to clarify that before anybody came and asked me about something being at somebody's meeting. I can only stipulate to meetings I attend, and that's board committees.
Mayor, can I say one thing? I know that you appointed us to be working with different departments when the election was held, like you put me to work with codes. I think that you put Trustee Burgess to work with finance. So I just want to let Trustee Burgess know, excuse me, Trustee Burgess. I just want to let you know that I appreciate you for doing your job, that you was appointed to work with finance. You're supposed to be watching the money. All the trustees are, but you're supposed to really be watching.
There you go, you ready? First thing is, we talked about board meetings. Every year, at the end of the year, we usually don't have a meeting at the last week of the month and the first week of the month. So what I will probably end up having is a special call meeting on the 16th, in case anything has to be passed, on the 16th. And looking to have no meetings during the week of the 22nd, and no meetings the week of the 29th. All right, and that's going to be our holiday hours. For meeting hours, and you should board those unless something emergency happens. We'll work with Mohan, I'll work with everyone, because I know every year there's certain things that we have to pass. We'll make sure that all that stuff is put on the week of the 16th. All right. The other thing too is at the end of the year we always do the same thing when it comes to accounts payable. We'll make sure accounts payable is in your boxes. If there's anything that you want paid before the end of the year, your job to make sure that as trustees go to Mohan and make sure that those checks have been cut. And then comes the second meeting of January, we'll come back in here, sorry, the first week of January, for those are the dates. December 1st is, January 1st is on Thursday, so we will have a first meeting of the month, but it'll be after the New Year's holiday. So mark your calendars down if you have anything that's important that has to be passed before the new year. We have a couple of meetings to get on the agenda, all right? The other thing is Resource Fair. Happy to hear at the Village Hall on the 20th. There's a lot of things going on at the Resource Fair. I think Village Clerk Williams, she has really gone out there, started talking about this, and she just shook the bushes. You got Village Woods Retirement's going to be here. Campaign for Better Health Care. Illinois State Treasurer's Office. Walgreens going to have free food shots. ComEd, Smart Ideas, Neighborhood Housing Services, Boone Township's going to be here. Uber and Pace is going to be here. There's special presentations throughout the entire day, starting at 3 p.m. all the way up to 7:30 p.m. That is here at the Village Hall on Thursday night, November 20th. And it goes from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So if you get some time, come out and check out the Resource Fair. So
Mr. Mayor, it wasn't nothing about a flyer, but the vendors that were at the craft show a couple weeks ago have also been invited to come back out. They'll be in the senior center. So they've been invited free of charge to set their tables up. So people have not only the opportunity to see those organizations, but there will be the craft fair happening in the senior center.
There you go. So
lots of stuff to come out for it.
If you missed the craft fair, there's no reason to come out. The other thing is, I've got some good news. I know it's been on the mind of many residents. Want to know when the Housing Authority was going to receive their grant money. I'm here to tell you that the Housing Authority received the grant money. Housing Authority has issued a check to the Village of Sauk Village for $30,450. That money was broke down, $7,660. It pays for the first installment that we paid the ones who were cutting grass. And then we reimbursed already our CM account $22,790. So the check has been received, the check has been deposited, funds have been transferred back into the funds where they're supposed to be, and the general fund has been repaid. So I know it's been on the mind of a lot of people that think we're never going to get paid.